This time, we're going to be taking a look at the world of unpartnered adults in the U.S.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, using some recent data from the Pew Research Center.
Okay.
And get this, after decades of rising numbers, the share of unpartnered adults actually dipped between 2019 and 2023.
That's right. Yeah. It's really a surprising turn of events,
Whoa.
considering the long-term trends that we've been seeing.
You ready to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Data on the screen, numbers come alive. Male, female flows where the patterns thrive. Visual charts, public colors unify. Gender decoded, bringing truth to light. Small drum fill. We break it down, real talk. Trends unveiling, facts from every block. Here's your insight, watch the data glide. Gender decoded, let the beats collide. We break it down, real talk. Trends unveiling, facts from every block. Here's your insight, watch the data glide. Gender decoded, let the beats collide.
Today, we're looking at unpartnered adults in the U.S. We've got some fascinating data from the Pew Research Center. It's all based on U.S. Census Bureau numbers. And get this. After decades of increase, the share of unpartnered adults actually dipped a little bit recently.
Yeah, that's right.
From 44% in 2019 to 42% in 2023.
It's a slight drop,
Yeah.
but it is a shift.
So let's figure this out.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. And, before we jump into the why,
Right.
it's important to note that this decrease isn't because everybody suddenly wants to get married.
Right.
The marriage rate has stayed pretty much the same.
Okay.
What's really driving this shift is a record low divorce rate, the lowest since data collection began,
Wow.
only 1.4%.
Okay, so it's less about people, coupling up
Right.
and more about couples staying together.
Exactly.
But why are divorces down so much? Are we all just, better at choosing partners these days or something? Huh.
I wish it were that simple. There are actually several things going on here.
Okay.
One thing is cohabitation. It's gotten super popular.
Yeah.
Especially with younger generations.
Oh, yeah?
It's almost like a trial run for marriage, right?
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
See if you're compatible before making a bigger commitment.
Yeah, definitely less pressure than just, jumping into marriage.
Right.
So is that playing a role in this whole lower divorce rate?
Hard to say for sure,
Yeah.
but it's a definite possibility.
Okay.
We also can't forget about the economic side of things.
Yeah, that's true.
Financial stability, it's a big factor in these decisions.
Right. Makes sense.
Maybe people are just waiting longer to get married, until they feel a bit more secure.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, do you think maybe we're also, rethinking what marriage even means today?
Totally.
Yeah.
Cultural norms are shifting.
Yeah.
There's less pressure to marry young,
Right.
especially for women.
Right. Yeah.
They're prioritizing education, careers.
Right.
It's not seen as the only path to happiness anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's really fascinating. And speaking of shifting norms,
Yeah.
the data gets super interesting when we look at it by age.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So for the, those just starting out, the 18 to 24-year-olds,
Yeah.
a whopping 86% are unpartnered.
Right.
I mean, not a huge surprise.
Not really.
Yeah.
At that age, most people are just focused on figuring themselves out.
Yeah.
Career, money, all that.
Yeah.
Romantic relationships, they take a backseat.
Yeah, for sure.
We do see a little gender difference here, though.
Okay.
88% of men in this age group are unpartnered, compared to 83% of women.
Interesting. That is interesting. Why do you think that is?
It could be societal expectations. You know how it is. Men got to be financially stable before settling down. Maybe they feel more pressure to hit certain milestones,
Yeah.
Before even looking for a partner.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Could be something else entirely.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
throwing it out there.
Yeah.
But now things change, drastically. When we hit the 25 to 39 age group,
Oh, okay.
the unpartnered rate drops to 42%.
Wow, okay. That's a big drop.
Yeah.
So this is where people typically start thinking about settling down, right? Career, family, all that.
Exactly. Building a life. We're still seeing more unpartnered men in this group, though.
Okay.
45% compared to 39% of women.
Okay.
Here's where it gets really
Oh,
interesting.
I've been waiting for this.
Once we hit the 40 to 54-year-olds,
Yeah.
that whole dynamic flips.
Tell me more about this flip.
All right, so in this group, women are actually more likely to be unpartnered than men. 29% compared to 27%.
Okay.
And that gap keeps widening as we go into the 55 to 64 group.
So it really does completely reverse.
Yeah.
What do you think explains that? Is it that, men in this age range are just more likely to be looking for a partner?
It's a bit more nuanced than that. We have
Okay.
to think about things like life expectancy.
Right.
Men have higher mortality rates, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So fewer of them around.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Kind of a sobering thought,
Yeah.
but it makes sense in this context.
It does.
Yeah.
And we also can't ignore the choices women are making.
Right.
Many of them are choosing to stay single after divorce or after being widowed.
Okay.
They've already been through the marriage thing, maybe raised kids.
Yeah.
Now they're prioritizing their own independence, their own fulfillment.
Yeah, I get that. It really speaks to the sense of agency,
Yeah.
especially for women who've kind of navigated those more traditional relationship structures already.
Exactly.
But then what about the 65 and older group?
Oh, yeah.
Does that gender gap just keep growing?
It gets even bigger.
Wow.
51% of women are unpartnered in this group, compared to only 29% of men.
Wow. Okay.
Life expectancy is part of it. But we also see men remarrying more or finding new partners later in life.
Is that, out of a need for companionship
Probably.
or caregiving, as they age?
I think it's a mix of things.
Right.
But those are definitely key factors.
Yeah, for sure.
So all this data really shows the different ways
Yeah.
men and women navigate these relationships as they get older.
Right. Right. It's not just about age, though, is it? What about things like race and ethnicity?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And it's so important to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Black Americans have the highest rate of being unpartnered, 61%,
Wow.
followed by Hispanic Americans at 45%.
Those are really significant numbers. What do you think contributes to those disparities?
Well, there's no easy answer.
Right.
We have to look at systemic issues, inequalities, and economic disparities.
Yeah.
For example, think about incarceration rates among Black men.
Right.
That disrupts families, makes forming lasting partnerships more difficult.
Yeah, for sure. It's such a complex issue. What about other racial and ethnic groups? Where do they fall?
So white Americans are at 38%, and Asian Americans have the lowest rate at 35%. We also see a difference when we look at whether someone was born in the U.S.
Oh, interesting.
Foreign-born adults are actually less likely to be unpartnered than those born here.
That is interesting. What could explain that?
It's probably a combination of factors, cultural norms around marriage and family, immigration patterns, the reasons people immigrate in the first place.
Right.
For example, some people immigrate to be with family members.
Of course. Yeah.
So that obviously affects their partnership status.
Makes sense. So it's not just individual choices, but the whole context of their lives.
Right, exactly.
What about education levels? Do those play a role in partnership rates?
Oh, absolutely. There's a definite connection. The more education someone has, the less likely they are to be unpartnered.
Interesting.
Among adults 25 and older, those with less than a high school diploma, 44% are unpartnered.
So almost half.
Yeah, but that number drops way down for those with a bachelor's degree or higher.
Okay.
It falls to around 30%.
Wow, that's a huge difference. What do you think is driving that trend? Is it that people with more education just have more options for partners?
I think it's more than just options.
Okay.
Earning potential is huge. Higher education usually means better jobs, better salaries.
Right.
It makes people more financially stable,
Yeah.
And probably more attractive as long-term partners.
Yeah, that makes sense. So financial stability is definitely key. Do you think it also has to do with, different priorities or timelines for relationships? Like people who focus on higher education might delay marriage or cohabitation to really focus on their careers.
Totally. That's a great point. It definitely leads to different partnership patterns.
It's so interesting how all these things are connected, education, careers, financial stability. It's like this big web of factors that influence relationships. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some of the key things you hope our listener takes away from all this?
Well, the first thing is that there's no right way to do relationships anymore.
Right.
It's about finding what works for you,
Yeah.
what makes you happy. whether that's marriage or living together or being single.
Absolutely. So well said. It's about finding what fits your values, your needs, your hopes for the future.
Exactly. And I also hope that this deep dive has made people think, question those old expectations and really embrace all the different ways people connect.
Yeah, I think so. The world of relationships is changing all the time.
It is.
And it's up to us to figure it out with, open minds and open hearts.
Well said. So to our listener out there, keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into this amazing world of relationships.
And remember, we're always here to help you along the way. So until next time, happy diving.